Hi, welcome to Get Ready with God podcast. My name is Julie Taylor and I am your host, and I am not God. Obviously, I'm not an expert. I'm not even a scriptorian. I'm literally just a girl sitting in front of a microphone, hoping God is real. The Get Ready with God podcast is the daily devotion podcast to help you see divinity in every day. Where have you been seeing divinity? I love asking people this question because I love asking myself this question because it really makes you dig. And yesterday, I shared this already on Instagram, but it was the holiday week, a lot of things. And I just find that divinity usually shows up where I don't expect it. Like, it's not in the huge moments. And I know I've talked about this so many times, but yesterday we were at a family dinner and we were playing pickleball, and my 12-year-old daughter just came and shared my chair with me. She sat on me for a minute and she just laid back on me. She just has the most grounding energy. It's been that way since she was a toddler. She's just calm, she's grounding, she's peaceful, and it just, I don't know, it calmed my soul in a way that I felt so present, I soaked it in, and out of all of the holiday, there was a lot of beautiful moments, a lot of fun, a lot of togetherness the last few days, but that moment specifically stood out to me, and as I asked Instagram, I shared my experience, and I said, "Where did you see it?" It was just, again, such a reminder. Everything everyone sent me was just these tiny little moments that would seem insignificant to the onlooker, to anyone you tell the story to. They seem insignificant, but they feel extremely significant. And when we can acknowledge those and claim them and share them, I think that that's really meaningful. And I think that that's how we grow our habitual recognition of divinity. And when we grow that, we see just how prevalent it is. And the fact that for me, divinity shows up in these tiny little moments is just a testament to how constant it is, because very rarely do big things happen, right? Our life is made up of mundane details of blah. That's what my sister and I call it. Whenever we call each other and I just start talking about, and then I went to the grocery store and then I did this, and then I catch myself and I'll say, oh my gosh, mundane details of blah. But when you're close with someone, those mundane details of blah are actually what make you feel the closest. I think it's so hard to maintain adult friendships. Everybody's so busy and everyone has stuff going on. And when you get back together, there's those friends where you don't even really give them the recap of like, this big thing happened and this big thing happened. You might forget to tell them the big things. I talked to my best friend yesterday. She lives in Scotland and we FaceTimed yesterday. And it wasn't like this magnificent catch up of this and this and this. She had just gotten her nails done and she didn't like the color that she picked. And we talked about that for probably 20 minutes. And that's the stuff that makes me feel connected and close to her. And so God showing up in our lives in these mundane places, I think, is evidence of his constant love and care and intervention, because it's always these tiny little things that I see and feel God the most when I'm looking for it and when I recognize it. And I was really grateful to be in a place where I was willing to recognize it as that yesterday, because I've been a little bit stubborn lately and a little bit detached and, addicted to my suffering, committed to the struggle. And I haven't been able to see things and feel things. And I was able to see and feel that one yesterday. And I was really grateful for that. I think there has to be a willingness and there has to be recognition to be able to claim that divinity in our days. But just in case you thought that you're the only one not getting huge waves of God's presence in your life, at least me and my Instagram followers, I'm not saying that's a large sample, but it's not nothing. Most people are seeing divinity in tiny little, seemingly insignificant, could be called mundane moments of their very normal lives. And I think that's beautiful. And I like that. And it reminded me why I started this podcast in the first place. Speaking of why I created this podcast in the first place, why did I? I've been thinking about this a lot lately because I claim to have no agenda, and I genuinely don't. Or at least I don't have the agenda that people might think that I have. I believe that building faith and conversion of anything, I'm not saying conversion to a specific religion, but just conversion to faith or being a Diet Coke drinker, like those things I think are very personal. What if this whole time I was playing the long game and I was just sponsored by Diet Coke to get all of you to drink? I actually don't talk about Diet Coke on the podcast very much, do I? I guess that's more of an Instagram thing. Anyways, surely I have agendas. I think you should buy Tivas and Crocs and drink Diet Coke and eat a donut a day, because I think all of those things will make your life better. But actually, I don't know if they'll make your life better because you're different than me. All of those things make my life better. And I think that's what this comes down to is I can share with you what I believe and what I think. And I can tell you that I think that well, no, I can say that it has made my life better, but I actually don't know what would make your life better. But do you know who does? God. God knows. God knows you. God knows what you need. God knows what would make your life better. God knows all of that. I don't. And so I started this podcast because I want you to feel better. I want you to have a better life. I want you to have more joy, hope, light, and fulfillment. I want you to be you. And I want you to do that with God's help. I can't help you do that. I can tell you what works for me. I can tell you what I believe. I can share my experience, but I actually can't convert you to anything. So I would never try. So I truly don't have that agenda. However, the podcast agenda that I do have is to just help you look for it, to put it top of mind, to have these conversations with me every morning, because I do feel like we're having conversations, even though I'm just monologuing alone in my closet. I'm not in a closet, I'm in an office. I just want to look for it. I want to look for it and see what we find. I want you to experiment with faith in a way that you maybe haven't before. I know that a large demographic of this podcast are people who have left faith or shifted faith. And I'm not trying to get you to come back to an old one. I'm trying to help you see that there might be a new way of thinking about it. There might be a whole new faith to explore, a new relationship with God to form. So much of my own faith experience doesn't feel like coming back. It feels like creating. It feels like a co-creation with God of a new thing, a brand new thing. When I say that this is a daily devotional podcast to help you see divinity in every day, that's not because you're listening to me. That's because you're taking some time to intentionally think about these spiritual topics, to think about a relationship with God. And if you do that, God will find you wherever you're willing to be found. God will show you who to be, what to do, and how to do it. That's not my job, and that's not anyone else's actual job. That's for you and the divine to work out. But don't dismiss the mundane details of blah. Don't dismiss the simple moments that you sense a little bit of divinity in, because that is evidence of just how minute, in the minute details, God is in your life. And if he's there, then surely he's going to be in the big things. Surely he knows what you want, what you're scared of, what you need, more than me or anyone else would ever be aware of. So that's what this podcast is about. Now that we're almost 50 episodes in, I'm learning that that's what this is about. To just open your mind to the possibility and let God do the rest. I'm just here to say, I believe in God. I think God exists. And that I think he knows you and loves you and can guide you. And that's maybe the compass to look for. Okay, have a beautiful day. I love you all. Please like, subscribe, share. Thank you. Love you. Bye.